Whenever you're here, everybody's here that said they were gonna be here.
They now remind us basically to put with the house.
Hi.
Is we going in traffic circle?
It could be a public comment.
That's a good connection.
Yeah,
And just put that public comment.
yeah, it'll be a good conversation.
Yeah.
It'll be there in perpetuity for everybody to listen to.
You know, I don't know if you heard that.
You're the one who replied back and then I sent you the night message back to you.
An expansion measure for the
I don't want you to show up.
convention
You are, so I was like, no.
No, it's on my calendar for today, but I'm gonna say Thursday. I like keep saying
What
what
I-
I have on Thursday.
Okay, just keep it up.
There is.
Yeah, right now.
Well, I think this meeting should be on Thursday. This meeting today, on Wednesday, in my brain, it's Thursday. I keep insisting. on
So when she
either
replies
Thursday.
back to me, see you
Every
Thursday.
time, every
We're
single
like,
time.
no.
No.
I just put a happy face when, no, it's Wednesday.
Was it
Oh,
ever,
he got the-
was it previous
Wait,
Thursday?
can you
No,
get
it's
the
not.
door,
No,
please?
no, I don't know, something in my brain says it's Thursday, but it was never on a Thursday.
That was the special night, Scott.
Yeah. Oh.
No, I didn't hear from Kevin. I'm assuming he'll be here though, I'm sure. But you can start without him.
Okay, let's
We
do it.
just note him when he gets here.
All right.
Hold on, we start.
All right, let's call to order the Public Works Commission regular meeting, agenda for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025 at 3:30 PM. Brandy, can we do a roll call?
Commissioner Keegan? Commissioner Murray? Here. Commissioner Major?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dietrich?
Here.
Chair Bellsberg? Here. You have a quorum?
Okay, next, the approval of the agenda.
Can we do the Pledge of Allegiance first?
We can do that, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Wade, would you lead us?
Absolutely.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
And begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's keep it in order. Back to the approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
If no one seconds, we go home.
I just,
Oh, you did, thank you.
Sorry, I'll say it louder.
Yeah.
Okay,
We need to vote. Everybody in favor?
everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Anybody opposed?
anybody opposed?
You're supposed to.
No, sorry. Anybody opposed?
No.
Brandy, how was the agenda, the report on posting of the agenda?
It was properly posted September 18th, 2025.
Okay, written and oral communications from the public and commissioners.
We have one communication from the public for items not on the agenda.
So, let's see, step updates?
We're going to start with Ann.
Oh, Ann K.
Hello, Ann. So once again, I live here, so I'm friendly. So don't forget, this is recording right there, so we're just making this available for everybody. We're putting the date and time, putting it online. Why does that rhyme? I don't know. But also, I'm not sure you're aware, I did qualify for governor of California, so it seems a little bizarre to be here. But here I am. So just do a good job. Make us all proud. Thank you.
Okay, there's two.
But she's on 4A as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so moving on to step updates.
Okay, I'll start. Hello, commissioners. We have a very exciting update for the roundabout project. This is our item on the agenda today, but to add, we're working on quite few projects. We're working on the Trancas right turn lane that's getting closer to being approved, and we'll give you updates later on when it's actually getting the approval and going into construction. There are a few projects on PCH which will be kind of additional to the traffic signal synchronization projects. Those are the speed enforcement camera and safety adaptive that are also in the pipeline and will be coming up soon. We'll give you more updates once we're getting closer actually to the installation and implementation of those. We are proceeding with safety projects on PCH. There are a few of them. There is a Malibu seafood crossing, there is a Big Rock, and there's Las Flores Rumble Pacifica projects that are progressing in preliminary design and some communication with Caltrans. We also have Ensenal Storm Drain Repair Project, which had to be rebid, and the bids are due on October 9th. And our rebuild center is getting more applications these days for the rebuilds. That's for the land development rebuild applications.
Do you know what the number is yet? How many rebuilt?
I do not have the exact number, but next time I can get it. That's all for me. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Just a couple quick updates. We had a little rain event yesterday, or last weekend, or last week, I should say. Nothing crazy.
Oh, last night? Nothing here?
Right.
Last
I
night?
don't think.
Some thunder and lightning, but
You guys got lucky.
You got lucky.
it felt like it was threatening to rain, but we
Crazy.
never, it was so crazy. I was driving to Point Mugo 7 to 9 for my son. It was crazy thunder and lightning.
Oh, yeah, it was,
Is that what I saw?
Sorry.
Isn't that crazy?
I saw like
Yeah.
flashes
Oh, it
on
was-
from the 101.
That's really cool.
Well, at 11, I went, tried to go to bed, that didn't happen.
It was
You had
around
rain in Oxnard?
2 or so. It
No,
came
you had-
down like,
Or,
really, I was like, oh,
That's so crazy.
I had to fall asleep around that.
and so of course, I went,
Oh, okay.
We got nothing.
yeah.
Oh, it rained all night, right up here.
Up here?
Really?
I
Point
saw-
Dude got nothing.
I was on the 101, I saw flashes, and I thought either it's lightning or, Oxnard is bombing things.
Could be rough, right?
I was driving up PCH to Oxnard, and it was
Yeah.
crazy out in the ocean.
It was,
So yeah, so
Sorry.
last week we had a little rain, nothing crazy, a little dust control, whatnot. But crews, just so you know, the crews did prepare for it. We didn't mobilize or deploy any heavy equipment like we do during the winter season, but they did check the inlets, various culverts, whatnot. And then we also checked them post rain as well. So they're kind of going to get in the gear now, start checking them for the full winter season. So that's upcoming. Also, you guys may have seen some emails, heard about it, or saw it. There was a damaged utility pole over on PCH south of Heathercliff, from a vehicle accident that got repaired. So that took a couple days, but once we found out who actually owned the utility pole, that got taken care of. And then, excuse me, a couple quick updates with our projects. Our Clover Heights Storm Drain project is wrapping up. We're at the final stages of the paving and should be done by the end of the month. And our skate park is making great progress. They've done a lot of the concrete work for the bowls and the streets section. It's coming along really good. Again, you can go on the little camera and you can kind of see some of it. Excuse me. But it's really progressing and it's looking good.
On calendar, on schedule.
Well, it got pushed back because of the delay for keeping the temporary open,
Right.
but we're hoping to pick up some time as long as the weather stays good. We even noticed some skateboarding marks in there already. So, yeah.
Tested.
Yeah, exactly. So things are going good there. And then finally, our signal sync project is wrapping up the main portion of the signal sync project. But, excuse me, as Tatiana touched on, there is some additional safety improvements that we are going to be including with the project. But the actual initial work that Nadia and I were working on is wrapping up here. I think that concludes. There's some other fire repair stuff, but that's all progressing, the storm drain work and assessment district repairs and various things like that. That concludes my update.
So for FEMA, we submitted all 17 projects, 2 of which have now already been obligated. And we're working on getting additional projects obligated, hopefully this week, if not next week. We submitted 4 applications to the Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program on the 15th successfully. So now they're just in the queue being reviewed, and we expect to get questions from FEMA or CALIS over the next few months, but hopefully we'll get obligated,
What is all the
funded.
Nice.
nice work?
Thank you.
And, so one of the things that I'm kind of working with, most of our staff is, Nadia and Tatiana and Travis, we're all working really hard on the speed enforcement cameras. That's the next phase. Nadia had mentioned about the safety adaption, that she's kind of working really good, kind of get that up and rolling, but the cameras, which remember last year we got new legislation passed at the in Sacramento that allows us to place 5 or speed enforcement cameras in 5 locations. We're working on getting all the infrastructure in, and that's what Tatiana and Nadia and Travis are doing. They're trying to get all the infrastructure, these poles, get everything ready. There's got to be a camera, and then approximately 500 feet before that, there's a speed feedback and some signage and some ordinance saying, hey, this is speed enforcement up ahead. I'm working on the proposals for the camera vendor, and I'm desperately working to try to finalize that in the next couple of days, and hopefully get this out for vendors here within the next. We'll have a vendor probably within the next.
Could you remind us what the locations are, the 5 separate locations?
Sure. Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on.
I was gonna ask that too.
PCH in Decker, PCH in Morning View, PCH in Latigo, PCH at Carbon, and PCH at Tuna. Those are the 5 locations.
You said that again?
PCH at Decker, PCH at Morning View, PCH at Latigo, PCH at Carbon, PCH at Tuna.
Oh,
So, yeah, so each of them will have cameras going in each direction. So there's 5 locations, but they're going to be picking up vehicles going eastbound and westbound. So that's what's really hot on my plate, besides some other stuff, but that's kind of the one I'm really pressing to get out.
Is that a
timing-wise.
law to say, smile, you're on the candid camera, we have to let you know that
Yep.
you must?
Yeah, I had to go through a lot of the legislation document and actually kind of pull out stuff. Back, I think it was probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did a speed safety use policy that was developed by the public safety, and I'm implementing all that information in there too, because has to do with the new law. And so it's pulling all this stuff together and making sure we have a complete system. We have how it's going to operate, how it's going to function, all this stuff. And so there's a lot of little stuff I'm finding out that I'm like, oh, gotta add that. So had some really good resources, but it's very close. It's close. So
Do you guys consult, this is kind of a weird question, do you consult with an attorney, like opposing an attorney to say how it's in fight like a speed ticket to mitigate that happening too?
there is provisions in the law on how that process goes in, and so we're developing that process on the city's end on if someone wants to contest things and go through this. The law is pretty specific on how a ticket is generated, what you need to do. It's very specific, and then it gives options to the violators to how they want to protest it or contest it. And so it's all that's built in to this whole, so.
Do we, as a city, or is it the sheriff department, set, say the speed limit's 50 up there, and somebody's going 53, well, they violate the law. How is that determined where it's set? Who sets that?
It's in the statute.
Oh, it is? And what does it say?
Of course, right, I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, if you know.
Well,
We are getting a good discussion.
yeah, I know.
So say the last question.
No, probably not. You know what, I will, you know what I will do is, this is definitely something that would be a good topic to bring back.
Okay, yeah,
So,
so Bonnie just said 7.
what,
11.
you didn't listen to that, you didn't hear
Okay,
that.
I didn't, all right.
So Randy is right, we're getting into the more discussion. But we'll bring something back and I'll let you know kind of where we are with our, at that time, maybe like if we have a vendor selection and how things are going, but it's a very interesting program, but I think it's gonna be successful. And I've been collaborating a lot with different agencies, especially up north. There was a bunch of cities up north that got the same similar bill, and they're just starting to implement it. I'm trying to get faster than them.
Oh.
So,
You mean to get in front of them?
well, it's not, I'm not gonna get in front of them because they already picked a vendor, and they're already kind of starting the process. So it's, yeah, but I will definitely add that to the future agenda. Yes.
So how close are we to implementation?
It probably won't happen until the beginning of the year.
Okay, very good, good to know. Moving on to Commissioner Quirk's comments and questions. Should we go down the line? Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to update you that I've been working with Parks and Rec, and we got some of the Bluffs Park cleaned up from some of the fire debris that was left there. A tree was removed that has been, hoping it's going to be replaced, but we're working on that. And the assistant manager of Parks, Christopher Araz, has been really amazing in cleaning up a lot of the debris that was there. I had someone bring to my attention that Big Rock Drive has a very steep drop off because someone removed some charred trees. And I'm not really familiar with Big Rock, but apparently it's about less than a mile when you go up the drive before, right at Cool Oak. There's a very steep drop off that requires a guardrail, and it's extremely dangerous because someone pulled out some huge trees and bushes. And it's so steep, it just drops right off the road. Like you barely have room for the white line along the road apparently, and then it just drops down literally off a cliff. So, I don't know if that's something, is that something we address first, or do we have people in public safety, or?
We'll investigate it and look at it. I mean, everywhere that needs guardrail already has guardrail. So trees being there originally wouldn't have been part of the protective measure to stop a car from going over it. And we just replaced all the guardrails through that whole area that were fire damaged.
She said there were other replacements, but this one, it seems like it's a new, someone removed something that apparently was a safety
Yeah,
blockade.
well, we can look at it and see, assess if it needs it, but as of right now, any area that requires the guardrails has the guardrails.
Okay,
We'll look at it.
okay, and then I have another road issue on Rainsford, and I don't know who's responsible for it, but there's the gully, which during the rains becomes flooded and usually is closed off from access, but someone like dug out part of the gully in front and then like partially filled it. I don't know if it was one of the homes that did it, I don't know why they scooped it out, but it's starting to crack. And when the rain season comes, it's just gonna be a total mess, I don't know why, but we need someone to look at that.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. Yeah.
It's a very amoeba-shaped pothole that was scooped out and then refilled with something.
Yeah, we'll take a look.
Okay.
Is that where they buried the guy?
I'll be back in a moment. I have to get my daughter.
Okay.
School bus is coming.
That's it. I don't think I have anything. Looks like they did new stop and line signs and stuff like that in Point Dale, which is awesome. That was great. I had something I can't think of. So move on now.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a lot of stuff. And some of it has to do with our friends at Caltrans. I had sent a letter to Robin and copied the council, and then responded. Between the pier and a third of the way to Big Rock, but definitely to Las Flores. We have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Construction zone, there is no construction. There's less construction than on a normal day. There's a lot of construction from Lake Tuna to Big Rock, for sure. But to have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit is a bad idea, and I'm hoping that we can get Caltrans to adjust the speed limit maybe to 35, which seems appropriate, during times when there is no construction, nothing going on. There's a bunch of cones, there's a bunch of emergency signs, there's trucks with a bunch of barriers, but there's no construction. And all this does, it makes it a huge inconvenience for visitors and now the residents. All these little annoyances to our residents add up. And we have a real problem with people leaving our city. Our population is way down. If you notice the number of the sales signs along the Coast Highway, if you look at the rentals that are not renting. So if we can encourage Caltrans to, change that speed limit for the foreseeable future until there will be construction, no question. But, we don't have any permits going on there, so you don't have residents building. And, they're not doing the same kind of thing as they are around Big Rock. They're trenching, they're putting in barriers so rocks don't slide in. None of that is happening between the pier and, between where it'd be east of the pier and Las Flores, so that's one. At the top of the hill, as you're eastbound from Las Virgenes, we still have a warning sign, Caltrans warning sign, beach traffic, appropriate again for summer. It's not summer anymore. We should pull that. Leaving signs up warning of something that isn't there causes people to just ignore all signs, so I'd like to get that done. Okay. The repairs and upgrades that are gonna happen at PCH and Rambla, could we, at our next meeting, get at least a sense of what is being talked about? So we could, as a commission, have early input. I wanted to ask, we had an extended discussion on Harbor Vista, Malibu Knolls, Malibu Crest, and the difficulty of those folks being able to get out of their road during rush hour. It's really tough. And so maybe we could, I don't know if we can do, what can we do to help these guys out? And maybe that's going to require a further discussion and agendized topic at the next meeting. I wanted to ask what is going on around Coral Canyon. Do we have an update on how Caltrans is proceeding? They put new bridge, they've got that all messed up. Any input on that?
Yeah, proceeding on the project, yeah.
Seems like they're not doing anything, it's not just sitting.
No, they're doing work.
Are they? Okay. Thank you. And, this morning I got a call, there was water coming down, Rambler Pacifico at Sumac. And I talked to someone else a little bit later on, because the person who called me, had done that at night, seen it at night. And then I was told that it was happening on Sumac where they are undergrounding. So I don't know if you guys have seen anything like that or heard anything, but there was water leaking out last. And I believe it's in the city right away. And it would be, what direction would you be going? You'd be going west, I think, up Rambler Pacifico from Sumac. I was out there, it happens to be our house. I was out there with a landscape architect to try to finally get to replanting stuff. But I noticed that looks like it's really in danger of collapsing on the road, because all the trees are gone. You didn't used to see it when the trees were there in the bushes, but now that they're fried, I mean, there's places where it's kind of a cliff and undermined. So if you take a look at that, Travis, and see, what can be done there. And that is it for me, thank you.
Comprehensive.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff, I know, like crazy.
I have just 3 or 4 comments and reports today. First, I just wanted to make a general comment. At the last City Council regular meeting, the Public Works Department, Brandy gave a great presentation on the overall status of the grants that the city is pursuing in response to the Palisades fire and all the expenses that we have as a city. And I just, again, want to publicly say, how impressed I was with the presentation. I think it's a positive reflection of the quality of the staff we have here at the city, which needs to be reinforced as often as possible, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to, my understanding is the next regular council meeting, the Public Works Department is again on the agenda, and I'm looking forward to that presentation. The three or four notes I have are, first, I have mentioned here a few times to fellow commissioners my interest in engaging the Youth Commission and having them potentially be involved with public works related projects this year. So what I did was I attended the first Youth Commission meeting of the year and made a public comment and shared my vision, which was subsequently responded to by the 26 students who are participating in this year's commission. The new chair of the commission has taken on this project and is learning how to create an agendized item and bring that forward to the Youth Commission to try to advance this idea. Or Porat is the chair of one of our students at the high school, and he spoke with Paul Grisanti, a former councilman, about how to go about this. So he got some good mentoring. So we'll see where it goes. I just wanted to be transparent, kind of tell you how I was trying to push that forward, and we'll see if it turns into anything. The second note is you may have heard at the last City Council regular meeting, Michelle Schoen, Patricia Keeney, Masosh, and I spoke about the peer-to-peer project and the Blue Highway vision, running boats, catamaran between Malibu and Long Beach, and then potentially in the future out to Santa Barbara. I just wanted to mention that since then we've had a series of positive meetings, the most significant being with LA Metro and the county supervisors for Supervisor Horvath and Supervisor Hahn, Districts 3 and 4. Really positive conversation. They're doing a feasibility study up in Long Beach in preparation for LA 2028 as it relates to water ferry service. And essentially, we're connecting the dots. So our service will run with theirs, and it's all coming together. So I just wanted, again, to kind of keep you up to speed on the progress. The Public Works Department has been, kind of running along with us and providing a lot of guidance informally as they can, and then at some point, it'll make sense for them to participate, but they'll know where we're at, what's going on. The two last notes are, one, I just wanted to again express I'm really interested in this neighborhood beautification idea. I don't know, maybe we could have a Brown Act buddy partnership at some point.
I'm interested.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring it up again. I know it's not a priority right now for obvious reasons, but maybe going into 2026, we could figure out a way to start to bring that to life. And then lastly, I'm really interested in the future of water for Malibu, particularly the infrastructure. I mean, this has really come up post-Palisades for obvious reasons, during fire resiliency, but I think ensuring that we have future sustainable water sources is really important. And so along those lines, I have learned that potentially the Water District 29 is going to be presenting to the Malibu City Council in the near future. I don't know if it's this month or next month, but I just wanted all the commissioners to be aware of that. If you have an opportunity to participate in that regular meeting and hear what they have to report, we may learn something about the status and what their future plans are, and then based on that, maybe we could come up with some additional ideas. But that's what I've learned, so I just wanted to share it with you. And with that, that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Okay, let's go to item number 12, consent calendar. Previously discussed items, we don't have any. New items, we don't have any. And let's see, all business none, and then we have 4 new business. PCH, quick build roundabouts project update.
Excellent. So, good afternoon, Commissioners, Chair. My name is Nadia, and I'm the Associate Engineer with the department. I am also the Project Manager for the Pacific Coast Highway Quick Build Roundabouts project, which I happily am here to provide you a presentation on today. Next slide. So, to give you some background, this project was identified in the 2015 Pacific Coast Highway Safety Study. So that everyone is aware, the 2015 PCH Safety Study was done in collaboration with several agencies. It studied our 21 miles here in Malibu. It accounted for our existing roadway conditions, collision data, speed data, accident patterns, and utilizing all of that information, put together a recommended list of mitigations to address the safety concerns along the highway. So for example, we know that John Tyler to Topanga, there was the concern of congestion identified in the 2015 study, which was mitigated, as Travis and Rob bring up, through signal synchronization. Our west end of Pacific Coast Highway, the safety concern that we're experiencing in this region is speed, excessive speed. We have the highest frequency of vehicles traveling at a rate over 100 miles per hour in this region. And because of that, roundabouts were the proposed recommended solution to address speed. This project is fully funded through LA Metro Measure M funds. I would like to point out that we received a lot of support from LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath's office. She placed a lot of pressure on the multiple agencies that something needed to be done to change Pacific Coast Highway and address the speeds that we're seeing, and with her support, we were able to receive the $2 million in funding to fully fund this project.
Just on that really quick, just to let you know that the level of commitment from the supervisor, they had money allocated towards some county projects, but she really wanted to see some improvements and instant safety improvements on PCH, and so they were the ones that had the Measure M funds, the $2 million here, and they gave it to us to do this project. So it's something that's so I just want to make
it's from
It's
LA
surprising.
County funds, not our own.
Correct. So it's, that part of the support is really kind of, it's kind of, sorry. No, no, go.
So why roundabouts? Roundabouts are a proven and effective measure to manage speeds and the ability to manage the speeds in these regions. You see an overall reduction in crashes as well as severe types of collisions. So I have some statistics for you today. Roundabouts reduce 35% of total collisions. It can reduce 75% of injury-related collisions. Through the use of roundabouts, you have a 40% reduction in pedestrian collisions, and then a 90% reduction in fatal collisions. So through this tool, you have enhanced safety for everyone on the highway, pedestrians, cyclists, as well as the motorists.
What is it, these statistics, what is it compared to? It's a 75% reduction in injury from what,
No roundabout.
from not having a roundabout or from a typical four-way intersection?
Both. It looks at both.
Oh,
A fully signalized intersection as well as not.
okay, thank you.
Through the use of bringing down the speeds, and then through the use of roundabouts versus a full signal intersection, you don't have that stop and go operation. You have the continuous flow of movement in these regions, so you're improving your operations there, as well as when you're looking at operations and maintenance of it, it's a cost-effective approach in comparison to a fully signalized intersection over time. The use of roundabouts is also an environmentally friendly solution. There's a lot less land disturbance in this type of solution than in comparison to other solutions such as a full signalized intersection. You also have a reduction in fuel emissions through use of this tool, so a great effective tool here.
Just to add another number for statistics, that roundabout reduces conflict points to 8 from 32 in a signalized intersection. From the left turn and the rear end collision, it reduces this number four times less.
I don't understand.
In the signalized intersection, the conflict points between pedestrians and vehicle to vehicle,
Like an
making left
opportunity.
turns, rear end collisions, there are 32 conflict points in that intersection. The roundabout minimizes it to only 8.
Oh, that's cool.
So one of the identified locations for the roundabouts is El Matador. If we look at the existing roadway elements at PCH and El Matador, you have the 2 travel lanes going in both directions. You have the 2-way left turn center median. What we also know about this region is you have very narrow shoulders where it is a no parking zone all along this stretch. So on both the ocean side of Pacific Coast Highway as well as the land side of Pacific Coast Highway, it is a no parking zone stretch. Next slide, please, Brandy. I've included some additional photos for you regarding the existing conditions. So I just mentioned before that it is a no parking zone on both sides of the ocean and land side of Pacific Coast Highway. Here we see some photos in which you have vehicles stacked on both the ocean side of Pacific Coast Highway as well as the land side. A safety concern here when you have the stacking of parked vehicles where they're not supposed to be is it obstructs the line of sight for vehicles coming out of El Matador trying to get onto Pacific Coast Highway. You have the vehicles who are parking on the land side of Pacific Coast Highway trying to access El Matador. So what we know about that is that they're running across Pacific Coast Highway with no available crossing facilities in this location. The bottom left photo, you see that El Matador is a popular tourist site. we have a lot of pedestrians out there who park somewhere and walk, and they're walking close to vehicles who are traveling at rates over 100 miles per hour, which is extremely unsafe. And then to the far right, I provided a photo from our Instagram page for the Malibu VOP, where just last week there was a injury collision that took place at El Matador and PCH between a sedan and a motorcycle.
So that was just last week.
That was just last week. Next slide. And then the second location for the proposed roundabouts is Encinal Canyon. So I want us to go through the existing roadway elements here at PCH and Encinal Canyon. You have the 2 travel lanes going in each direction. You still have the narrow shoulders in this region as well, in which there's still no parking allowed in the shoulders here. Here we see that you have a left turn pocket, so if you're headed southbound on PCH towards Santa Monica and you're trying to make a left to go up Encinal, you have that turn pocket right there. If you're headed north towards Ventura County and you're trying to make a right onto Encinal, you have that small sliver of a right turn pocket. And then if you're at Encinal trying to make a left onto PCH, you have that section right there serving as a merging lane between those turning vehicles and all who are on Pacific Coast Highway. Next slide, please, Brandy. Now into our design for these proposed roundabouts. So these are proposed single lane roundabouts. What that means, given that we have 2 lanes currently going in each direction, approximately 500 feet in advance at Broad Beach. If we pass Trancas and you pass that last entrance of Broad Beach, that is where the 2 lanes will begin to merge into one. So we'll do a lane drop in advance, and we'll also start to realign the curvature of the lane to force vehicles to slow down. So we have it designed in a manner where vehicles approaching the roundabout will have to force to a speed of 40 miles. And then as you start getting closer to the roundabout, it would force them to go slower to about 25 miles per hour to make it capable for them to reach 0 and yield ultimately to any vehicle that may be in the roundabout. And then we also, being able to reduce the 2 lanes to 1 will increase our shoulder width. So by increasing the shoulder width, we will now be able to provide parking along Pacific Coast Highway closer to El Matador. We will also be able to provide bicycle lanes. With the bicycle lane, it'll be along PCH. That bicycle lane will then merge in with the travel lane to go through the roundabout. And again, speeds will have been reduced to a level in which it is safe for bicycles to be in the same lane as vehicles. As you come out, you'll see that we have provided a pedestrian crossing facility along the highway, because again, we are now providing parking and providing a crossing facility, a proper facility for pedestrians to go between the land and ocean side of Pacific Coast Highway. The same design is occurring on the opposite side, where it's the 2 down to 1 through the roundabout and out. And then if you're a vehicle who is headed southbound towards Santa Monica and you're coming out of the roundabout from El Matador, it'll go from 1 lane and it'll open back up to 2. If you could go to the next slide, please. For the lane drop, El Matador and Encinal Canyon are approximately 3,000 feet apart, those 2 intersections. We will continue the 1 lane in this region, so it'll be 1 lane in both directions. We will maintain the 2-way left turn center median. Again, we will have increased shoulder spaces here, so there will be parking along PCH in this region between the two intersections, as well as the bicycle lanes in this region. Next slide, Brandy. And then you will have approached Encinal Canyon, the roundabout at Encinal Canyon. Again, it'll merge the bicycle lanes with the travel lanes to go through the roundabout and then out. And then when you get out of Encinal Canyon, a couple 100 feet out, it'll open from the one lane back up to the two. And then here, because you have the residents along the ocean side of Pacific Coast Highway, we do have some opening slots for those residents to be able to get in and out through this. Next slide, please, Brandy. Roundabouts, as I'm sure you all know, is quite new to our city. And so as part of this project, we are working on our community outreach. We have first begun with mailing out letters to all the homes that are within the region of this project and who would be impacted by either the roundabout itself or the construction taking place. And then through the course of this project, they will continue to receive letters and updates about what is going on. In addition to that, we have the public meetings. We have today's meeting. We hope to put together a community workshop to discuss and provide it as an educational session about roundabouts to the community. This project will also be presented to the Planning Commission for the Coastal Development hearing. And then in addition to that, we have our agency collaboration efforts. So Caltrans will also be advertising this project and really putting out notice for the broader reach outside of just our community. And then in addition to that, we will also be creating a web page on our city's website to provide some educational resources about how to handle a roundabout, how do you drive through a roundabout. And it will also serve as a page in which the public could provide input about their take on the roundabout.
What is the distance again between the two roundabouts?
3,000 feet.
So what is that, half a mile?
About a little more.
A little more than that?
For project next steps, so we are in final design and permitting with Caltrans as well as on our city end going through the coastal development permit. Once we are anticipated to go to Planning Commission on October 20th. Once we have the CDP approval, we hope to put this project out for construction bids and hope to begin construction winter 2025 or January 2026. The construction period we anticipate to be around 90 days, and then after that 90-day period, we will go through the pilot duration. So this is a pilot project, and for the pilot duration, we will be conducting safety assessments in which we analyze the performance of the roundabouts, in which we will be measuring against factors of have the two roundabouts effectively managed speed? Has it effectively brought down speeds? Have we improved the use of the highway for pedestrians? Have we made it more accessible for everyone? So these are some measuring points to determine whether or not this has been successful, as well as taking in the input from the community and what they may be experiencing. Through all that, by the end, we hope to make a determination in collaboration with the state as to the program itself and determine, has this program been successful? Should it remain? Should we create permanent roundabouts? Or have we not been able to achieve our goals here, and should it be removed? And with that, I open it up to questions.
So before we get in questions, Chair, we do have a public speaker slip.
We have Anne.
Who do I give this to?
You can go to the chair, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have two public speakers.
Two. Okay, so we have Ann Kay.
Just real quick, so I was in a community down in the east, they had a roundabout and it didn't work out. All the people were doing is going round and round and speeding,
You can go.
like skidding around the little circle, so it doesn't work out.
Where was that?
East LA, 4th Street. 4th and Atlantic, there's a little roundabout, and if you look at it on your satellite, you're wondering, what were they thinking about? But there's like the little circle, and it kind of got in the way, and I was driving a Suburban.
What's the intersection?
4th Street and Atlantic, around that area, there was a roundabout. I saw it recently. So it's in the county area, and it's a roundabout. So, but this one was in a residential area. So that's all.
Okay,
4th Street and Atlantic area.
thank you. Next we have Art.
Yeah.
Art Kelly.
I live just above the intersection of Encinal Canyon and Pacific Coast Highway. I've lived there now 37 years. I've seen several people die at that corner when Canyon was closed and they diverted everyone down to Encinal. A lot of history. My fear for this project is you're creating a tourniquet to escape Malibu if you have a bad fire. If you have a bad fire, we haven't had a bad fire yet, especially our end. But you shrink this down to where you can't get through there fast, and you will back it up all the way to Civic Center. When we left our house 7 years ago in Wosley, it took 9 hours to go from Puesta del Sol, or Encinal Canyon, down to get on the freeway and go north to North Hollywood to escape the area. Because the police didn't let everybody flow. They just one car at a time. And there might have been other people here that were in that, I don't know. But by the time the time we got down there, the fire was right behind us. We could watch it. I have it all on my phone. We started out, you couldn't even see the fire behind us. By the time we got out of here, the fire was right there. This is going to create a permanent block there to escape Malibu if we have a bad one. And the chances of us having a bad one are very good since we've already had one bad one and the weather doesn't seem to be improving too much. That's my first concern. Secondly, you got 2 crosswalks crossing a 55-mile-an-hour right now road. Why are there no crosswalks now? You talk about the beauty and the livability of Malibu. You put these circles in there and it slows everything all up and down for just a few times that we have a few speeders. And a few times we have lots of traffic. Most of the time it's nothing. Early in the morning, 5:30, then again at 4 o'clock, and on the weekends, that's about it. This is, once you start doing this, I can't see you undoing it, even the project to get it started. The California Coastal Commission is designed to prevent the misuse of the project, of the whole roads and everything for everyone. Well, this right here is going to make a drive up and down Malibu no longer the scenic drive. We have sometimes 100 or 200 motorcycles, car clubs, very frequently car clubs, anywhere from 2 cars, sometimes just a couple, to hundreds of cars going in these routes. And not to mention the construction vehicles. There's a fire station right there between these beaches. They're very frequently on our street, very frequently. They're everywhere. They have a hook and ladder. How are they going to get around this? And how is this going to implement the response to emergencies? This is a 55-mile-an-hour highway. It's not a local street. In Vegas, they have lots of these. I've been there quite a bit recently. And they're only in slow places, 35 miles an hour. And if people slow down, and they're double. They're 2 lanes. One goes around, the other one goes off in here and here. But it's 2 lanes. This is not enough.
Okay,
Suddenly you're going to have...
I'm sorry, Art, that's time.
Okay,
I hear what you're saying.
thanks. So I'm opposed to the idea myself.
lighting. Do you guys have a plan for lighting? How would you light up the roundabouts?
Correct, we've been working with a vendor putting together temporary lighting because this is a pilot project and we want to minimize disturbance. So with the temp lighting, we have it proposed. Brandy, if you could go back to the design exhibit for a Matador. Yes, so the lighting is proposed at the four corners around the circle itself, and it will be able to light up the entire roundabout. The lighting will be dark sky compliant, and in addition to that, it'll be able to light up the crosswalk to provide light to the drivers, to notify them of any pedestrians. And then also, I didn't mention that we are installing flashing beacons to notify the driver when a pedestrian is pulled up to the crosswalk and they're preparing to walk. The beacons will go off to notify them of the
Is that
pedestrians.
I'm sorry. Is it like 24 hours a day, or does it have hours, or is it all day? All night?
Is it sensory lighting? I believe it's sensor lighting.
Sensor,
Okay.
sensors.
So only when people are coming up to it that it turns on? My thought is that the houses, like, I mean, you could see a house that's right over it, and having, like, all of a sudden, it's like putting that roundabout right in front of somebody's house, and the other houses, have gotta be,
It's not gonna spill around into the residential area, it's only gonna light the intersection and the sidewalk.
My other question was, is the goal to get cars to go, you said they go from 40 to 25, and then when they get the roundabout, what's the ideal speed that the traffic's flowing? If I understand correctly, the idea is that the traffic keeps flowing, that it doesn't really stop. You don't want the traffic to stop, is that right?
Correct.
So it only goes to 0 if someone's,
If you have to yield
Right.
to a vehicle that may already be inside the roundabout and you need to wait for them to get past you for you to safely enter.
right,
It's designed so that we are able to reduce the speeds so that a vehicle can reach 0. Or even in the opposing direction, because you have the crosswalk right there, if a pedestrian is preparing to cross and the beacons go off, the vehicles will already be reducing their speeds to reach ultimately 0 to stop for pedestrians on the opposing side.
so they're not going so fast, they can't go to 0.
Correct.
The other thing was, for the people walking and the cars parked and all that, I understand the speed will be reduced to 25, mainly around where they're walking. Are there gonna be, or bikes, or are there any barriers or anything like that you guys plan? So it's just open, so, okay.
Correct.
Like it is right now, except people can park there legally, and
Yes.
people are going slow enough that hopefully they don't run people over.
And you will have proper bicycle facilities within this region, as well as the additional parking with the increased shoulder widths. But correct, no barriers.
What was my other question that I had? Hours, anything like that? Oh, my other question was, what's the distance? I drive this like 100 times a week. What's the difference between Encinal, where that is, and then the next, because it's my understanding that yes, there are a lot of people walking in that area that you're talking about, El Matador to Encinal, but I feel, and you guys know, because you know all the statistics of where all the accidents are, but I feel like the accidents are like, where people really get zipping along, is after Encinal, going up to Point Malibu. Am I wrong about that? Are most of the accidents actually?
Well, 2 months ago, a vehicle in between Encinal and Decker, they were pulled over and the vehicle stopped in between Encinal and Decker, but they were headed towards Ventura County. Was pulled over for going 120 miles per hour.
I feel like that's what people go flying.
But they would have been going that rate through the El Matador to Encinal
So
region.
you're saying the most dangerous for pedestrians, because I do see people walking with their chairs and their kids and their coolers, and I mean, I'm always like, what is going on? You're trying to mitigate pedestrians getting hit in that area, illegally parking. Is that the goal here, to slow people down? in that area?
It's to effectively manage speeds in this region, as well as reduce speeds, because in this section of Pacific Coast Highway, you have the highest frequency of vehicles going over 100. And going over 100 does not just cause threat to other motorists' lives, as well as the type of collisions that could occur with people trying to get onto the highway, but it's a threat to the families that we see who are walking alongside the highway, who are parking where they should not be parking, who are whose line of sight is currently obstructed due to the illegal parking, and they're trying to exit onto the highway. So the goal of this project is to effectively manage speed and reduce it, because going over 100 is quite ridiculous. And then in addition to that, the goal of this project is, because this is a high density spot, El Matador. It's a popular tourist site that gets overcrowded. So what happens when the parking lot in El Matador gets overcrowded? People go to PCH to park, and they walk to PCH. So they're all there, they're all using the highway. We're trying to also improve the usage of the highway. So we know, and how we can do that is, with bringing down the 2 lanes down to 1, increasing the shoulder spaces, providing these facilities and these crossing facilities, we can improve the use of the highway at these 2 intersections for the families who are visiting these spots, for the pedestrians, for the cyclists who are coming through these areas. So it's the speed component, as well as we know that there's a use of the highway in this region for all types of users. We want to improve that use as well.
One more really quick question. How many cars can you park in El Matador parking lot right now?
Approximately 20.
20, and then you guys, how many, they issue ticket after ticket, there's like another 40 cars parked on the road every weekend? Do you have a kind of an estimate of, just how many?
So let me go back to something you were saying, is keep in mind that we're going to be implementing a series of traffic safety improvements on PCH. And this is one of them. PCH signal sync is one of them. Safety adaptation is one of them. Cameras are another one.
Right.
So remember what I said right after, this was the first one that's the farthest west.
Decker.
Right.
So right when they get
So
past
that's
this,
gonna slow people down,
That's
because
gonna
that's
slow
what
people
I'm
down,
saying,
too.
you got a roundabout, then people are like this.
Yep.
They're gonna be going 100 right after the round, so then you hit again at Decker, so you've got these.
Yeah.
So the camera would capture any violation that occurs from a vehicle that now wants to speed once exiting the last roundabout. The camera would capture them and issue a citation in the mail.
Have you guys looked at it all doing instead of this, just as like more parking? Like, I don't know how you make more parking, but, because what I hear you're saying is, 1 is the speed, and 2 is how more families can park to go to El Matador Beach.
So given the roadway width right now, and with the existing elements that are on the roadway, we have the 2 travel lanes, as well as the 2-way left turn center median. There's not enough space beyond that. We have very narrow shoulders that are not wide enough to accommodate parking in this region, which is why we have no parking zone through this entire stretch. Being able to provide parking, we have to reduce something else. And so we're reducing 2 lanes to 1, maintaining the 2-way left turn center median. That increases our shoulder spaces for additional parking as well as bicycle facilities.
Also, when we're talking about adding the parking, we also need to look at other conditions. So we not only need to create parking, but we need to create safe parking. Safe parking, safe ability to access, to cross, to access the point of destination.
So just doing the parking, we don't have enough space or enough land on the highway to do more parking just
How's that, any other questions?
In terms of community, like for the
over 100 miles an hour, am I hearing you say that just the ticket goes out in the mail, or is anything communicated to the sheriffs to be able to capture someone in real time and like take the car instead of waiting, I don't know, 2 weeks for the ticket to go out, like for excessive speeds? Is there anything communicated to
So
people
the,
that may be on the PCH already?
I would say not much more than what is currently done. For the vehicle that was captured going at the rate of 120 at Denver, they were caught by one of the sheriff's deputies and their vehicle was impounded. So our sheriffs are doing as much as they can and our deputies are doing as much as they can, but of course we know that it's limited in personnel. And so we're hoping that through the use of the cameras, although it may not be a deputy impounding their car, we can at least issue more violations in the mail than what we can currently capture now.
Does the camera reflect, like, when you go through a light or something, and I guess when you get it and it flashes? I haven't had one, but I've seen the thing go off. Is that what happens when people are speeding? Like, so everyone's like, oh,
So this
it's not a ticket, you get that good feeling?
So, let's talk about speed cameras, even when we bring that up.
Sorry.
Because that's that, and I'll
Gotcha,
provide
around
more
the
information.
topic. I got
I'll just post my picture right there for all my speeding tickets.
Oh, that's
I'm sorry, did I?
No, I just
Answer
feel
your
like it's a
question?
missed I know you can't do everything, but it seems like a missed opportunity for someone who's really already traveling excessive. Like, let's say they're really under the influence, you'd wanna get them off the road, like, take that data and use it in a way that could make the PCH safer instead of just have that snapshot in the
That's-
time.
Once again, it's
You're
not,
saying that,
this is the roundabouts, it's not gonna have that technology. This is, the camera system you're talking about is a whole separate system that we're talking about.
Correct. correct,
So
okay,
we'll provide that more information.
okay. You can tell we're really excited.
Yeah, it's
Very
It's,
exciting.
I mean, with all stuff we're doing, it's a lot of different things we're working on to improve safety on there. It's a lot, all of a sudden, we've been working for years on doing this stuff, and so it's finally seeing it be developed, and then the support from the supervisor's office, everyone else kind of giving us, hey, yeah, what do you need to do this? Hey, let's try this and do this. It's very, I mean, it's nice. It's a nice collaboration with everybody. Caltrans, us, it's just a lot, and it's been good. This one's been really, it's been really kind of fun to work on because everybody's excited about it. That's it.
You're not gonna like it. I think this is a horrible idea. I think when you try to go down from 2 to 1 with pedestrians and cars and trucks and bicycles, it's gonna have a bad outcome. Why is it because we don't have the land that we're not doing 2 lanes instead of 1 in a roundabout? I've been Highway 154 that cuts off, through Santa Barbara has got 2-lane roundabouts in a rural, very similar area. And people slow down and they pick off where they want. So that's the first question. Why can't we do a 2-lane roundabout?
To address that, one of the constraints in that is the land, the available land. But then also one of the goals in this project is to manage and reduce speeds. And the way in which we can successfully do that is bring the 2 to 1 and then start curving that lane to force vehicles to slow down.
Well, I see that it's gonna slow down everybody, and even if you set aside, as Art brought up, this evacuation and emergency vehicles, we're slowing down speeds with our speed cameras. That's going to be, especially when we talk the guys really going crazy. With speed cameras and signs warning, hey, you're gonna be getting a ticket, you're being photographed, that's going to, I believe, take care of that issue. You get a ticket for going 100, and you're not gonna be happy, and it's gonna screw your insurance, everything else. Also, the fact that we're about the same time putting in speed cameras and roundabouts, you're not gonna know which caused the speed reduction. So what I am concerned about is, oh yeah, the roundabouts really worked well. No, it was the speed cameras that worked well. We're not gonna know by doing them both at the same time. Parking is certainly a big issue. 20 spots for this very picturesque beach on a weekend. Of course, they're going out on the highway, they're gonna just, okay, I gotta pay whatever it is, $50 for parking. That's like, give me the ticket, I'll take it. But you have too narrow shoulders. What if we restriped, very low cost, and had one side, I guess the beach side, but you guys would determine that was big enough for parking. Suddenly, you've got a lot of parking there, legal, safe, you don't need people crossing PCH, because that's why I thought it'd be best on the beach. That solves that. The speed camera solves the real excessive speeders. Now we know if you're eastbound and you're coming probably too fast on PCH and you come over the hill at Matador, oh, suddenly you didn't have line of sight because there's that hill there that you come over, if I remember properly. What would it take to have a 2-lane roundabout, which would solve a lot of the problems, because I just see that trying to squeeze everybody together, 2 lanes into one, bicycles that, I mean, if you're on a road bike, and Rob knows this, you think you're going really fast if you're going, 25 or 20, not realizing the cars are going 60 behind you. So I would suggest, this is why I want to see the Rambler come early, is, to get our and the public's input before you get a design locked in. I'd like to see us say, okay, what would it take to get enough land to do 2-lane roundabouts? I'm certainly not opposed to roundabout. I just think squeezing it down is a big, big mistake. And then what if we made one shoulder half the width, put that on the other one for parking? That's my thinking on this.
When you bring up a few things there, so I hope to touch on all of them. I know you mentioned rather than the use of roundabouts, what about the potential of increasing the shoulder space along the ocean side of Pacific Coast Highway to accommodate for parking in this region? Because of our limited roadway width, increasing that shoulder space, we would now have to reduce something else. So you're talking about reducing either the lane width, you're talking about reducing the center median width, or completely eliminating the shoulder that currently exists on the land side of Pacific Coast Highway.
Is more or less eliminating that shoulder.
With eliminating the shoulder that currently exists, the very narrow shoulder on the land side of Pacific Coast Highway, well, you still have residences that are living on the land side of Pacific Coast Highway whose driveways approaches are currently right there. What happens if you're a resident going home, trying to pull into your driveway, you slow down, but the vehicle behind you is still going 75, right? You have no shoulder space now to safely pull over somewhat to get away. It creates very complicated conditions.
No, that's not correct, I'm sorry. When a car is following you and you put your brake lights on, assuming they're not drunk or, okay, but they slow down, you've got your turn signal on to indicate you're gonna go into your driveway. And so they kind of see what you're doing, they back off, you turn on, they go. That, I think, is much safer than getting people trying to cross the highway. I mean, what we've got is a terrible situation right now, because people are parking there, they do run across the highway, line of sight, we know people have gotten hit. So, you know, the guy going into his driveway, Art going into his driveway, is not pulling into this narrow shoulder necessarily at all, maybe he's happening, but just by him having his turn signal on, which is all legal, and hitting the brakes as he slows down, the other car will have to do that as well. And when you say 75, we're gonna be really careful. We have two situations. We have somebody going in a 55, they're going 60. Okay, they're speeding a little bit. And then we've got these real excessive guys that I believe that our speed cameras are gonna be super effective in the signs warning. They're just not gonna be able to do it anymore. You know, they're gonna get hit really hard. I don't know, it seems to me a better solution than trying to squeeze people. But I'd go back, I would do the 2 lanes, those have proven themselves very effective. If we have to do something to get the land, let's do it.
So under this pilot program, we don't have the capacity to design for a 2-lane roundabout because we are restricted on the width of the roadway. For a permanent solution, if after this pilot program has gone through its duration, has seen its safety assessments, if the determination is to come back with something more permanent and it be a potential 2-lane roundabout solution, the state would have to look at purchasing land.
Yeah, the problem is we won't know because the completion date on this, the completion date on the speed cameras is about the same, I believe. Is that right, Rob?
No,
What,
no, I don't think so.
are the speed cameras in first?
No, this is gonna go, they're totally independent.
But what about the completion dates?
This is gonna go on before them.
Oh, okay.
And this is gonna be in a certain area, right outside of that, right outside of this is gonna be the speed camera. Farther up the road, farther away, but before that, it's gonna be morning view. That's where it is, speed camera.
Right,
So
but I mean,
there's
just
no-
the completion date of the speed cameras is going to be considerably after the completion date.
What's considerable? It's gonna be
Months,
after.
year?
It's gonna be, the speed camera's gonna be the beginning of the year. This is gonna be probably, this winter, or hopeful.
Okay, so a year apart.
No,
No, a couple months.
Couple months.
Oh, a couple months.
it could be a couple of months, it could be 6 months, it's within months.
As Commissioner Murray pointed, we don't have real time. That speed enforcement camera is not gonna have real time data, they will receive the ticket. I understand what you're saying, it will have an effect on how people drive through that area. However, this roundabouts, they solve much more problems than just speeding, there's also safety problems.
I don't see it
And
solving
once-
any problem, I see it creating a problem, I really do. It will slow people down, there's no question about it. But it's not going to stop the 100-mile-an-hour guy, speed cameras.
Now Matador's lot, is the lot like, I see the driveway that goes down to get to the beach lot, it's on my paper, but there's no availability to make that beach lot bigger?
That would be for state parks to do. If they have intent on expanding and how much they expand their lot, that would be California State Parks jurisdiction to do so.
Has anybody reached out to them to see if it would be possible to expand that lot to accompany more cars?
They do have a project that is underway to expand, but more details than that I do not have. But I do know that they have a project in design working on expanding the lot.
Yeah, they've been working on it for a while, we've been collaborating with them and kind of seeing what can be done, but they're close to finalizing it. I think they're trying to internally see how it can be drafted and constructed, so I think they're close. Timing wise, we don't know yet, we have to find out.
Because our two problems are pedestrian, people parking, and then people speeding. So people speeding, we're coming up with a solution for the speed lights. So to go through this roundabout seems like a lot of work. If it's possible, just expand the parking lot to accommodate, 60 cars or something. It seems like the roundabout is kind of like a lot of something when it's maybe, I don't know, it feels like there's an easier solution to expand the parking lot there and do the speed sync, the camera, like that seems like, genius, it's gonna work all along there. I don't know, this seems like a lot of work for something that, to me, feels like that I would exhaust some other ideas, looking at this one right here,
I think we have a delayed speaker slip as well, can we?
Do it.
It is the chair's call whether we take additional public speakers after it's closed.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Are we okay?
Sure.
Thank you. My first one didn't know how to fill out the paper.
Okay.
Sorry about
Brian?
that. Yes.
Okay.
Similarly to what this gentleman was saying, I've come from the UK, and there we have what's called a dual carriageway, which is essentially what PCH is. It's 2 lanes, which eventually do meet a roundabout, and everybody is sort of able to figure out that you need to slow down when you get to the roundabout, because there is signage and people know it's there. I live right in front of this, the other one at Encinal, and I see people going through there a lot every day, and I don't think squeezing it down to 1 lane each way is a good idea. Especially on the topic of when the fires start, having a roundabout in the middle of basically the only way to get out of the fire is, I think, not a good idea. If it was going to be a roundabout, I think it would have to be minimally 2 lanes. On top of that, I think the speed cameras would also fix the speeding issue. Yeah, and that's another thing about the pedestrians crossing PCH. Again, going back to Europe and the UK, we do have crossings at the roundabouts, which are at dual carriageways, and people do know you should slow down for the pedestrians crossing. It's not like people will just fly through there regardless. So I don't think having 1 lane is a good idea on such one of probably the busiest highways in America, to be honest with you. I think that was all I had to say, especially having, and one more thing about the bike lane merging in with the traffic, I think is also going to cause some extra congestion. But that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick because I want to hear from Wade. Thank you for your public comments. That's really helpful. I appreciate you making the effort. Piggybacking on those comments, I just wanted to ask, was the emergency evacuation considered in the design and the plans for this roundabout pilot?
It was, and the roundabouts were designed in a manner to safely get emergency vehicles through and out of it, as well as the large trucks through and out of the roundabouts.
What about the population?
Yeah.
If it's like a mass exodus,
That's
what
the
we saw.
plan.
Typically when something like this happens and the police and sheriff is involved in creating evacuation route, that still can be used to push traffic to one direction, so this still can be open to 1 and even 3 lanes. Even the center median can be used for evacuating people out of the area. So it's not really creating the choke point at this point, that they can go through the roundabout in 1 direction and continue.
You're saying that they would take both lanes and just open it up to traffic leaving, so it would open up to 2 lanes?
They can do it if evacuation goes north or south, depending, right? On
They close the north and south.
It just go, they can create evacuation route, leaving and out, because the roundabout for emergency vehicle can just drive through the roundabout itself.
And if I can add something to that, just so we're clear with the 2 lanes. During the Woolsey fire, we had 2 lanes, and it was backed up. So saying one's gonna make it worse than the 2 were bad. But what everybody seems to forget about the Woolsey fire is there was a shooting over the hill, at the borderline. There was the fire over towards Ventura. So PCH was closed that direction. Malibu Canyon was closed. So everything was going south towards Santa Monica. The odds of that happening again, probably not gonna happen. But along with that, it also took Rob and our assistant director at the time were on the phone the whole time with Santa Monica and the highway patrol and everybody to get the freeways. They had to get every on-ramp closed to be able to open the freeway and open PCH, all 4 lanes going south. So that took the time, but that was mainly because all these other locations were closed. So I think when we're considering like it being reduced to 1 lane versus the 2, that amount of traffic is probably not gonna happen in that manner again. And it was kind of relevant even during Palisades. There was not that same, you know, hysteria of leaving because there wasn't the multiple fires. During that event, there was the fire there, the shooting, and then all the canyons being
So you're
closed.
saying there were a lot of other sources of exit
That
closed?
helped create more traffic than what normally would have been. And now that we've kind of been through this disaster, actually, multiple disasters.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a better understanding of how we would evacuate if we had to. You know, that Woolsey fire was a learning process of Rob and everybody communicating with the other agencies all the way down to Santa Monica to the 10 freeway to open it up. Because they literally had to close every freeway on ramp on the 10 to finally get it open. And so that's the delay that kind of took the time to get it open.
Travis and Tatiana bring up the great points regarding access and the concerns there during an emergency. I would also like to point out for normal operations of the highway and the potential concern of, well, bringing the 2 down to 1. The 2015 safety study evaluated the capacity of the roadway, and it was identified for the east section of PCH, John Tyler to Topanga, you have a congestion problem there. And when you're looking at capacity, you're looking at the volume of vehicles that are traveling. In the east section, it is congested. There's a capacity issue there. For this west end, we don't have the volume that would classify this section or region being congested. It's not nearly close to what the east experiences. So there's not a concern there bringing the 2 lanes to 1 in terms of capacity.
Yes, but and I just want to clarify though, it is possible that traffic can slow down if 2 lanes were to remain. It was a 2-lane roundabout. It is possible for traffic to slow down, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. What is the distance of the highway for the pilot that will go from 2 lanes to 1 lane?
I'm sorry, could you rephrase that? The distance?
The total distance of the highway that will go
Oh,
from
that's-
2 lanes to 1 lane for the pilot.
Approximately 1.3 miles.
1.3, okay. I was reading through the report, I didn't find this information, so sorry if I missed it, but will the speed limits formally change along that stretch of the highway?
No.
Okay. With the letters that were sent out, have you, in addition to these 2 gentlemen, have you received any responses from residents to the letters that have been delivered?
I have received a couple email responses to which I have provided to Brandy, and I believe she provided those letters to or emails correspondences to the commission.
So just a couple so far,
Yes.
okay.
4. I think there was 4, is that correct, or 5?
It was basically different letters, but all part of the same chain.
Yeah.
A couple more quick ones, I'll let Wade go. Did the letter that went to residents mention the planning commission meeting date on October 20th?
It mentioned the Public Works Commission meeting date. I think I have that.
Planning Commission's mentioned, but I didn't see the date in that.
Planning Commission was mentioned?
Mentioned, but no date.
Oh, no date,
Okay,
because it is anticipated that we go October 20th.
okay. So keep that in mind, that's an important date, October 20th, potentially. And then lastly, for the pilot, why 2 roundabouts and not 1?
These are two major intersections. The El Matador, for reasons of it being a popular tourist site, you have a high-density intersection, a lot of bicyclists through the section, and then also Encinal Canyon. It is also another major intersection point because it serves as a connection between PCH as well as and Mulholland Highway, Highway 23. So it's a major connecting point between multiple highways and Pacific Coast Highway at Encinal.
You guys see a lot of accidents there?
So those are good, but also, right after the accidents, the city and Caltrans and sheriff and conducted road safety audits on PCH. Went through whole areas, both sections, walked it and looked at it. These two sections were identified in the road safety audit as potential roundabouts for safety improvements. So Caltrans has identified and said this is something we can do, a pilot project over here to improve safety.
Yeah, it's the intersection and also the segment, the stretch between two intersections. If you can see just from the map or this exhibit, it's the straight section where a lot of speeding is occurring.
But we're dealing with the speeding. If we did 1, would we have enough money to do 2-lane roundabout?
It's not the funding that is the constraint in this problem. For the 2-lane roundabout, we need the land, and so we would have to approach the state about purchasing land and expanding their highway. We currently do not have the roadway width or land ownership
Enough.
to
Yes.
create that.
Do you know?
That's why this is the pilot program.
Yeah. Do you know if that land that we would need for a 2-lane, is that owned by the state or is it private land?
Private property.
Private property.
Thanks.
My turn?
Yes.
Okay. I want to thank everybody who's commented, and I want to thank staff, and thank you, Nadia, for an excellent presentation. And want to remind everybody as well, this is a work in progress, a lot of meetings still to come, a lot of input and so forth. So we're all kind of working it out right now. I will echo a lot of what's already been said by my colleagues. I'm a big fan of roundabouts generally. Love them in Europe. I love driving them. I've lived around them. But they're not for every location. They're not for everybody. The previously discussed roundabout that we would be putting in on Malibu Canyon right at Civic Center Way, I think is the perfect location for a roundabout. And it'll be brilliant when it's there, and it'll solve every problem of that intersection. I have real concerns about these, and I'd love to make them work, but I always err on the side of the residents first, because they're the people who have to live with them forever, you know. Visitors come and go, staff comes and goes, but if you live there, once it's there, and I know it's a pilot program, but I have a very hard time wrapping my head around the idea of spending $2 million of putting a lot of steel and concrete and restriping, and then down the line saying, bummer, it didn't work, let's rip it all out again. Bureaucracies just don't like to walk things back, especially when it's money that's coming from the county. So I'm a little suspicious of that. And also of the idea that if the pilot program with the lane drop doesn't work, that we'll fix it down the line by making it permanent and adding the lane in that we haven't even tried yet. It seems like we should be piloting the thing that we want to make permanent if we're going to pilot something, not pilot something that's a little bit reduced from what we would possibly want to make permanent. So I think we have to get this right out of the gate. Whatever it's going to be if it becomes permanent should be what we try to make in the pilot program. So I'm just going to go through the several points one by one. Is it possible, because we all have a problem with the lane drop. I know it's a less trafficked area, but let's think about a worst case scenario. We look at Palisades Drive and the Palisades during the Palisades fire. That is a wide boulevard. and people evacuated and panicked, and it piled up with cars, and it created a choke point that put lives in danger. They had to bring in heavy equipment to move those cars. We've all seen the video. It's terrifying. If there's a fire, God forbid, that comes down Latigo, and it cuts off PCH, and everyone on the point has to evacuate westbound, you've got a real problem. Because the point is our population center. So if all those people pour onto PCH at the same time, right? If they're all headed that direction, you following me?
No.
Okay, if everybody from Point Du
And Paradise Cove.
and Paradise Cove, if they all,
Yeah, so, but you're saying that if fire in Latigo,
or let's say a fire somewhere Corral, let's say Corral,
still corral,
but that's gonna prevent people from coming eastbound if they evacuate,
they go eastbound, they're gonna go eastbound.
right? But if something, I'm just saying, if there's an emergency that cuts off the highway, that prevents people from evacuating eastbound, where they all have to evacuate westbound,
I mean,
You have Canaan, Encinal, Decker.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be going up there if like.
I'm just saying, it's conceivable that in a really bad scenario, you could have a very large volume of cars evacuating at the same time through this area. It's not maybe likely, but it wasn't likely what happened in Palisades on Palisades Drive either. You know,
just knowing the volumes and knowing how the traffic patterns and kind of thing, I think it's the scenario you're saying, the fear over here, is you're trying to compare this to what we've seen in Woolsey over there on the east end. That's just, you're not gonna have that over here.
I'm always thinking worst case scenario, because we wouldn't have thought with Woolsey that it'd be a shooting and, you know, all the rest of it.
But it's also, you're saying that the public is, in the point and everything else, if somebody had a Latigo or Corral, they're gonna go east, they're gonna go towards Santa Monica.
What if they can't?
What if there's an accident or something? Like there's.
What if they can't?
I mean, you go up Malibu County.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking worst case scenario. You know, narrowing down to one lane really, really concerns me. I can see all kinds of trouble there. So my question is, if the issue is about purchasing land, is there an option where you could say, well, we'd like to try the 2-lane solution, but it's a pilot program,
It's not gonna,
can we lease it?
it's not gonna happen,
Not gonna happen.
not gonna happen.
Why, Rob?
It's for one, we don't have the funds, we don't have the money. Grading on it would be ridiculous to make that even work. You're doubling the size of that roundabout. See right there? It would be double the size. It's just not, I'm just telling you, it's not feasible, it's not gonna work.
So you wouldn't be able, so there wouldn't be a lease land situation. So if we were, I mean,
You would have to put some crazy retaining walls and grading to kind of even make this kind of even
so
feasible and kind of stuff. Is the double roundabouts, it's like you're not gonna be able to do it.
So if let's say the permanent solution down the line past the pilot program, does that mean that the double lane wouldn't be feasible then either?
No, it's not, no, it's just, I'm telling you right now, it's not. A double roundabout here will not work with the terrain and the right of way. So that whole thought process, the kind of like, that expectation to put a double roundabout there, it's not gonna happen.
Does it work at
I
Decker?
mean, I'm telling you, no.
I'd also like to point out, this is a quick build project. So with the intent of it being a quick build project, we have been collaborating with the state to expedite the process of it and utilize material in which we can easily construct the roundabout in a fast manner, as well as it's a material that can be easily removed should you decide should the program not be successful and we don't want roundabouts. So it's a quick build project, and with it being an expedited project, we are trying to minimize our disturbance. So the
No, I get
project
that.
itself is confined to the bounds of the existing paved roadway surface. We are not trying to go outside of it.
Got
So not only will the 2-lane just not be feasible, we are minimizing our disturbance due to it being a quick build project with
Yeah, I mean, the
easily constructible material.
lane drop, everything that Scott said, I have the same issues. The lane drop really, really concerns me. I have a hard time with that. The shoulder parking issue, okay, I know this area very well because we You know, we shot our film there in 2020 at El Matador, and we took up the entire parking lot with all of our production vehicles. And the result was that a lot of the people from the cast and crew who couldn't find spots once all the vehicles were there parked on PCH. And then people who were also just visiting the beach while we were shooting, they parked on PCH as well. And it was a terrifying experience. It was terrifying, the speeds that people blow by when you're walking in that shoulder. So I do not minimize the danger of that stretch of roadway. I've been there. There are shoots there. There are fashion shoots. There are movie shoots. There are commercial shoots all the time at El Matador. So that creates a parking nightmare routinely for the public. So that has to be dealt with. But let me move to bike lanes, because I don't have answers for this, but I just want to raise a lot of these concerns. Are we talking about the Class 2 bike lanes that Caltrans is proposing, or is this a different kind of bike lane?
It is, yes, it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the Class
So in
2.
other words, once Caltrans comes in here, which they've been avoiding doing, and tries to pitch us on those Class 2 bike lanes that none of us want, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, because I think that's insane to put, I mean, pushing 2 lanes down to 1 is already bad enough. Pushing cyclists into that, because a Class 2 bike lane, the whole point is to encourage more people to think the highway's safe. You're gonna have a problem at some point. You're gonna have a bike club of some group, and there are gonna be too many of them, and somebody's gonna skid to a stop and hit somebody. I see a problem, because Americans are not, they need to learn roundabouts a little bit. You know, once you've driven them, you're like, I get it, it's brilliant, it makes a lot of sense, but and I can see bikes being a huge problem there. I don't think there should be a bike lane going there. I don't think there should be a bike lane anywhere on PCH, but certainly not there. The Caltrans, the forthcoming hearings, how many of those are there again? The next meetings, next sequence of meetings, there's like community meetings, there's Caltrans.
Are you talking in relation to this project?
Relation to this, yeah. How many more opportunities will there be for the public to weigh in with all the various stakeholders to?
Oh, the public comment period will be open from right now through the assessment period of this program. So there will be always, but in terms of the meetings, there will be potentially one more meeting, not including the planning commission.
Okay, I mean, I would like it if word could get to the neighborhood, as many residents could speak to this as possible, so we get a really, really rich set of feedback from
This
people.
proposal needs to be put in the newspaper so everybody can see it. It's gonna affect all of Malibu.
Yeah.
It's gonna affect the whole thing. It's gonna change how we look.
It's gonna get KBOO attention too.
Another thing too I'd like to
That's
say
why
is,
he's here.
We got our, by the way, we got our letters yesterday.
Yeah, I only got mine yesterday.
Yeah, and I got mine this morning because I didn't go to the mail yesterday.
Planning,
So that's how much public there's been to this.
October 20th planning, that's, you know, bring the neighbors out.
Let me tell you.
If I could propose something too, you know, when we were talking about Westwood Beach and the parking there and all that stuff, it was suggested at the time, and I can't remember who even brought it up, I think Brian Merrick, but you know, they suggested maybe we just take a field trip there, like a staff and commission field trip, and even some residents. And you obviously have to break it up, you know, so it's not a Brown Act issue. 2 of us go at one time, the other 3 go another time. But this is, I think this is serious enough that maybe we propose doing that. I would love to actually go there physically rather than looking at it on a map. You guys have done a great job, but I'd kind of like to stand there in the space and better understand what's being proposed. That would help me.
We just don't have the resources to do that. We
Ah.
don't, I'm being honest with you. You can go out there and kind of do it on your own kind of a thing, but we just don't have the resources.
Okay. I mean, I think we should. I think all of us should at least go there. Can we get all of these diagrams at least mailed to us, emailed
It's
to
in your
us?
email already.
They're in our email already. Okay.
Yeah, we also have hard copies here.
Okay, that's great.
I have
All right.
one more thing too, I was gonna say, were you finished?
2 more things, just 2 more things. Yeah, the motorcycles and car clubs, The one positive of this is that if it makes them go away, I'm all for it. Seriously, if it puts an end to the motorcycle and car clubs up and down PCH, that's a positive.
No, they'll go around and around.
Probably. But I am also concerned about fire vehicles, you know, the idea that it could be a tourniquet. It just, I would need to see, I feel like I've gotta see a lot more by way of facts, and I need the fire department to weigh in. I feel like I need to hear from more stakeholders to put my mind at ease, more residents. If people are concerned about this, I have to err on the side of the residents. And that's it, those are my comments.
I totally agree with all the Wade's comments and everything. Another thing that Wade brought up for me, when talking about bicycles and all of them merging into one area, would be just an accident, just a simple accident. If you've got one lane and one lane, then a simple accident of two people bumping into each other, it's not like you're opening it up for the traffic to go around, which is, we all know, that's like every day is like, you know, 2 lanes go to 1. So my concern would be that when that exit's gone. The other thing was, is had it ever been a consideration to do a bus that goes to Matador, that people can park, that people that wanna go down to the beach can park somewhere in a parking lot somewhere else, and then just take a bus and have a bus route that goes for visitors instead of having to park down there.
To the first part regarding the bicyclists merging with the travel lane and the vehicles and all entering the roundabout. This project was designed in a way, the 2 roundabouts are designed in a way when you have done the lane drop and you begin your lane curvatures, it's forcing vehicles to slow down to a rate of 40 miles per hour in advance of the roundabout, and then as you get close into this section where it starts curving, where it's dipping down and then going up, the vehicles would have slowed down to 25 miles per hour. So vehicle, and then forcing them to reach 0. That against when the bicycles now would enter, it makes it a very safe condition for the bicycles to merge into the travel lane because the vehicles would have slowed down so much. So we designed it in a way to account for the fact that we now have bicyclists right next to vehicles, in front of them, behind them, and all need to be able to navigate this roundabout in a cohesive manner. So it is designed in a very safe manner in which it can be done without the potential of accidents.
I mean, I will say that what makes the most sense when you're driving in a country that has roundabouts, like whether it's France or Croatia or Spain or whatever it is, the 2 lanes are, it's like what you were saying, you have one lane that takes you through and then the other one that you use to turn off.
Yep.
That's what makes a roundabout so safe and so kind of pleasurable to drive, is you realize I'm not gonna get stuck behind this guy while he's turning, this guy's not gonna be impeded by me while I'm going straight, we're both slowing down. There's kind of a wonderful psychological thing that happens in those roundabouts when there are 2 lanes. But if there's a merge happening, I don't know that I've ever driven a roundabout where there was a lane drop, and it concerns me.
There was one thing that Wade brought up that he said, well, once something gets put in, even if it's pilot, it never disappears. Look at the tower that we have, the emergency time.
Wait, this is the pilot program that we've gotten with Caltrans within 2 years, or we kind of a period of time, it's either gonna be removed or something's gonna be done
Well,
differently.
okay.
So that statement is.
My point, Rob, is that the citizens of this town have been for 3 years trying to get rid of that thing, and we can't seem to do it. It keeps popping back up, because it had county money, the county did it, and they say, you're all gonna die if there's an emergency without it. I really worry it will never disappear. And to the point, I mean, you've heard all of us, I think we're all very skeptical of this. It was a great presentation, but dropping the lane, I'm not in favor of that. And the only way I think that it's going to go through is if you guys also put in something where, okay, the pilot didn't work, and we can get rid of it, or maybe it works semi.
That's what's in it. That's what the pilot program is. After
How
almost 2 years.
how would that happen? How would that happen?
After 2 years, or after, I think it's 2 years we're talking about.
Yes.
In 2
Yes.
years, we're gonna evaluate it. If something happens, let's say something happens in 6 years, or 6 months, or a year, it's
Okay.
like, it's not happening, like, we have the ability to take it out. That's part of the program of the pilot
And you
program.
use it the design of like being able to install quickly
Yeah,
the
it's
program,
quickly
like
and
that
it's popped
makes
out.
sense.
And I'd like to mention that even.
So that's the program we have with Caltrans. Caltrans is really it's like, this is something we're gonna evaluate, we're gonna keep data, we're gonna see if there's issues, then we can address it right away. So it's just, your concerns about the tower is totally not founded, because there's nothing like, this is totally different.
Well, I
It's
can
totally
just see
different.
where residents are saying, I hate this, I don't want it, and,
Then
you
that
know,
can be voiced to council, it can be voiced to, like, we're providing this project, it's council and everyone else is gonna make the final decision. So if council says, no, we're not gonna do it, then,
Yeah.
that's fine.
$2 million allocated for the pilot program. If it's made permanent, or if something else is made permanent, where does that money come from?
That's gonna be additional funding that we'll evaluate and look at it later. Either Caltrans will come up with the money because it's their highway, or there's something down the road that we're gonna look at and see.
And
Just to remind you that, that's also, those projects are also part of the master plan for PCH that
Correct.
Caltrans presented, so that actually will help. If this pilot doesn't work, that it will affect the decision later on in the master plan, what Caltrans is gonna do and to improve PCH.
I'd also like to reassure the commission, because Rob brings up the excellent point, that during the course of this pilot program, yes, the pilot may be a 2-year period, but through the duration of this project, we will be constantly performing safety assessments. So 1 month after construction has completed and the roundabout is in, we will be doing a safety assessment 1 month in. Then at another month mark, we will be doing another safety assessment, and we'll be collecting that data to understand at those points in time how the roundabouts are performing. And if after just a few assessments, we're finding that they're not performing well enough, then it's the decision is to pull it ahead of the pilot timeline, that may be the decision. But
That was gonna be my question, is who's driving that, who will be driving, we're not gonna lean on Caltrans or someone to make work internally, we will be making the assessment to see what's working.
we will be doing the assessment in collaboration with multiple agencies. So we will be doing one form of a safety assessment. We will also be taking in the observations that Caltrans teams have observed and the data that they're collecting. We will also be taking in data from the sheriffs, highway patrol, what observations they have made regarding the performance.
I think it's great that you're trying something as opposed to doing nothing, because this area, the data is showing, it needs attention. This may not be the perfect thing, but as long as there are resources to commit to fine tuning and getting feedback from how it's doing and really taking action, I think it's great. My big concern is for the young drivers, because I think that, for people who are fortunate enough to have traveled to Europe and other countries and see how great it works, when everyone understands how it works, it's not a big deal. But for someone, it requires a level of maturity to understand, okay, that person just nodded, I'm merging, this person's going. It's hard for a young driver to know how to navigate that. So I think something needs to be done on an education level, either in the high school or with the driving people that are teaching these kids how to drive, because this requires a lot of quick decision making and like not looking at your phone to make sure you're paying attention who's coming in, that they really need to know that this is serious business. And they can't just be like, asleep at the wheel, for lack of a better word, to navigate these things, because that's where my mind goes. And then the other thing I'm thinking is that when you're introducing this is to have, kind of like at schools where they have a monitor with the crosswalk who's like explaining to kids and people who are parking how to navigate, just so it's a smoother transition when you're introducing it, because this is very new for the PCH to have something like this on there. and we want it to be successful. So I'm wondering, do we have resources to be able to have sheriffs or people there to facilitate, like, explain to people how to do this and
We're looking to put together some educational tools as well as videos on the city's website, but I do think, Commissioner, you bring up an excellent point about maybe sharing those tools and sessions with the schools so that they could teach the young drivers, especially at the high schools. And then we'll also look to collaborate with the sheriffs to see if it may be.
just to have their
at those-
presence initially for the first couple months to make sure like that people are, that the signage makes sense, that they're reacting a proper time, like, you know, I think it's just a win-win.
We'll collaborate with.
That would be great.
We have a Be Safe on PCH program for our schools, and so we can just incorporate this into it. We're also working on a possible partnership with OTS to get education funds, so maybe we could incorporate this campaign. Just to end on kind of a positive note, because I do want to just give the context of that stretch of highway that we have evidence that traffic is moving at 100 miles per hour. And bigger picture, the community believes that we have to come up with solutions on safety measures on PCH. The response that Public Works, City of Malibu, and others have come up with is to give us some proposals, some ideas. The county is offering the city and Caltrans, the state, this money to test this out. So I do think we have to take into consideration that is what they're responding to. They're not just pulling this out of thin air and saying, hey, you guys should use roundabouts. We think, we want to inconvenience you any way we can. That's not what's happening. It's the opposite. They say, you've got a very serious problem. Traffic calming measures include physical changes to the roadway. That to be effective. I hear what you're saying, Scott, in terms of the ideas around the traffic signals, but that's insufficient over time, in my opinion. So I do think we have to just be open to this. I again, want to encourage residents and others to come out. Let's get the word out for this Planning Commission meeting. I think on October 20th is going to be very important. Bring your questions, bring your ideas, and bring alternative solutions as well. Say, hey, we don't think this works for X, Y, Z reasons, and what about whatever it's going to be. But I do think, we have to, if we're in the sandbox together, we got to learn how to play together. So, so I'll just end on that.
I would concur that this, we all agree something needs to be done. The status quo is not sustainable. It's terrifying. But we got to work it out. Residents have to be part of this. And you guys have done a great job. This is, I don't mean to minimize all the work that you put into this, because I couldn't do that. One comment and then a quick question. The comment is there are residential roundabouts in Santa Monica. For anybody who's ever driven down 26th Street between San Vicente and Wilshire, they sort of work a little, but people barrel up onto the edge of them to kind of go around a little faster than they should. So people do try to cut corners with roundabouts sometimes. That wouldn't necessarily pertain here. But, if people are going to find a way to speed, they're going to somehow figure out a way to speed, I'm afraid. My question, too, is the distance between these two of 3,000 feet. That feels kind of close to me for two roundabouts, unless you're like in the middle of London where you're going about 15 miles an hour between them. I don't think I've ever seen two roundabouts that close in proximity. Are there any examples of roundabouts anywhere around that are that close, or is this?
We don't have that data right now in front of you.
Okay, I'm just curious if we know of anywhere else.
There is probably, but I just.
Does anyone? Okay, yeah, I'm just curious if anybody's ever bumped into any. Okay.
There are a lot in the residential streets that are.
There are. I'm just saying if you're going a certain speed on a highway and then you hit a roundabout and then 3,000 feet later you hit another one. I'm just curious if there's a precedent for that arrangement or if this would be the first one. But it's not.
But you were saying it remains a single lane in between the two, correct? So
Correct.
that's how
Oh,
it's
okay.
gonna remain single
So
lane.
it goes through. It's still a single lane for 3,000 feet
Correct.
until it hits the other one.
Correct.
Got it. I didn't process that.
1.3 miles.
Okay.
But you're allowing parking on both sides of the streets now, with crosswalks that people could just walk across and stop the traffic anytime.
Nadia, you mentioned all the agencies that would be involved in doing the analysis. What you didn't mention was residents' input after, and you did not mention this commission. It's,
Scott, once again.
Yeah.
This was brought up in the safety audit. This was brought up by Caltrans, these projects in here. Supervisor's office had identified and said, hey, yeah, we have funding that we want to do this project, city. Can you take the lead on doing this? This is what we're on. So it's, those attacks back on us and kind of doing it. We're just doing what it was
no, but
brought over there. So
in other words, as we evaluate it, if we go forward of it to try it, so we try it, okay? My concern is that if the residents go, we don't want this, it's not working, it's crazy, we can't figure it out, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We want to be able to hear and have something in this so that we evaluate what the residents of our city are saying, much more important than, outside agencies. And that needs to be part of this.
The people have to live with it.
Because they're the ones that have to, yeah, that's a good point. They have to live with it. And if these gentlemen and their neighbors are saying, everybody's going the wrong way and whatever.
yeah, we'll take that in. We'll kind of see.
Okay. Okay. Is that it? Sarah else? All right, thank you for that presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. A lot of questions answered, I think, on that work.